You can't just eat anymore. You know this. You're sitting at the table. The burger arrives, steam rising, perfect lighting, and your hand moves before your brain does. Phone out, angle adjusted, filter applied, upload. Only then can you take the first bite. But here's the perverse truth. You didn't photograph the burger to remember it. You photographed it to prove you were there to remember it. This is what we might call the Kinder Egg model of consciousness. You know, the chocolate egg with the toy inside. We have inverted reality. The chocolate shell, the digital post, has become the real prize. The experience itself is merely the packaging we discard. You think you're eternalizing the high, but what you're actually doing is outsourcing your enjoyment to a future spectator who doesn't exist yet. You are eating for an audience that isn't there, so that you can retroactively believe you enjoyed it. The meal doesn't exist until it's posted. You don't exist until you're seen. And that, friends, is not narcissism. That is something far more terrifying. The gaze and the ego ideal. You post for no one. Let's be precise about what Lacan would call the gaze. You think you post for your friends. You think you post for the algorithm. You think you post for validation. This is wrong, dangerously wrong. You post for the ego ideal, a disembodied, internalized gaze that has no actual location. It is not your mother, it is not your followers, it is not even society. The ego ideal is a symbolic point, a pure structural position that ratifies your existence. It is the imaginary tribunal before which you must appear to confirm that you are real. Here's Lacan's terrifying insight. Your self-image, what he calls the ideal ego, is sustained only through this external gaze. Without the like, the view, the comment, your self-conception doesn't just deflate. It crumbles into a blurry, unfocused image. You become, quite literally, unrecognizable to yourself. The panic you feel when your post gets no engagement? That is not social anxiety. That is ontological horror, the void where the gaze should be. You are not seeking attention. You are seeking being. The digital gaze doesn't just validate your existence, it constitutes it. The big other, the algorithm believes for you. Now, Žižek would ask, who is enjoying your life? Answer, the big other. In traditional society, the big other was the symbolic order itself, the law, God, society, the name of the Father. It was the virtual entity that guaranteed meaning. Good people go to heaven. Hard work pays off. The big other knew the rules, so we didn't have to shoulder the full weight of our existence. Today, the big other has been privatized. It lives in your pocket. Your followers, the algorithm, the engagement metrics, these have become the new symbolic guarantors of reality. They do the believing for you. They do the enjoying for you. When you get 500 likes, the big other is telling you, yes, this moment was worth it. Yes, you are real. Yes, your existence has been ratified. You don't believe your life is good. The metrics believe it for you. You merely access this belief through your screen. This is why you check your phone first thing in the morning. You're not seeking validation. You're checking if reality still holds, if the big other still recognizes you, if you still have symbolic existence. The algorithm doesn't just show you content, it ontologicizes your being. The inversion of shame, from modesty to guilt. There was a time when being seen was shameful. To be exposed, naked, vulnerable, revealed was the ultimate degradation. Shame was the penalty for visibility. We covered ourselves. We valued modesty. The private self was the authentic self. This has inverted completely. Today, Exposure is the precondition for existence. The unphotographed meal, the undocumented trip, the thought untweeted, these have become sources not of pride, but of anxiety. You think you're eternalizing the high, but what you're actually doing is outsourcing your enjoyment to a future spectator who doesn't exist yet. You are eating for an audience that isn't there, so that you can retroactively believe you enjoyed it. The meal doesn't exist until it's posted. You don't exist until you're seen. The shame of exposure has been replaced by the guilt of non-production. You are guilty not of vanity, but of insufficient enjoyment, of failing to squeeze maximum symbolic value from your experiences, of letting moments go to waste by not converting them into content. Objective illusion and fetishistic disavowal. I know very well, but nevertheless. Now we arrive at the heart of the pathology. Žižek's formula for ideology in our cynical era. I know very well, but nevertheless. I know very well that Instagram is a curated simulation, that the algorithm manipulates me, that these metrics are abstract nonsense, that the influencer lifestyle is staged, that I'm trading my attention for nothing. I know very well that this is all a simulacrum, copies without originals, signs referring to nothing. But nevertheless, I check my likes, I curate my feed, I feel the dopamine hit, I feel the cortisol crash. I plan my content, I measure my worth in engagement, I structure my entire existential economy around a fiction I explicitly disavow. This is fetishistic disavowal. The objective illusion of likes, followers, metrics, these are pure abstractions. They have no material substrate, and yet they produce devastatingly real material consequences: anxiety, depression, body dysmorphia, political radicalization, the collapse of democratic discourse. The abstract has colonized the concrete. The simulation generates real symptoms. We are suffering from diseases caused by numbers that don't exist, measured by algorithms that have no consciousness, chasing validation from a gaze that has no body. This is not hypocrisy. This is the structure of contemporary subjectivity itself. The postmodern cut from ritual to resistance. Consider the cut, the mark on the body that joins us to the symbolic order. The pagan cut, you scarify your face to enter the tribe. The pain is real, the blood is real, the community is real. The mark plugs you into a symbolic network that actually exists. You suffer to join the big other. Now consider the postmodern cut, your tattoo, your curated aesthetic, your personal brand. You think you're resisting the system. You think you're microdosing, your trauma processing, your authentic vulnerability posting is subversive. But here's the horror. You're tattooing yourself to signal resistance to a big other that no longer exists. There is no tribe to join, no symbolic order to enter, no genuine community being indexed by your aesthetic choices. You are cutting yourself to resist a master that has already vanished, leaving only the algorithm, which demands you cut yourself again tomorrow. The authentic self you're expressing? It's content for a platform that monetizes your authenticity. Your resistance is market research. Your vulnerability is product testing. You are not the pagan joining the tribe. You are the postmodern subject, endlessly cutting yourself to prove you have edges while dissolving into the smooth surface of the feed. The reversal, the obscene master. We were promised liberation. Express yourself, find your community, be the CEO of your own life. The ideology of elite capitalism presents the algorithm as freedom. But Lacan teaches us that every master has an obscene underside. The superego is not the law that forbids. The superego is the law that commands enjoyment. You must enjoy. You must be productive. You must optimize. The algorithm is the obscene master. It doesn't forbid you from posting. It demands you post. It doesn't restrict your freedom. It commands your self-exploitation. You are not using social media. You are working for it, unpaid, 24/7, producing the raw material of your own subjectivity as content. And when you rest, when you digitally detox, you are merely recharging the battery for more efficient extraction. The freedom to post is the freedom to exploit yourself in the name of a freedom that doesn't exist. You are both the overseer and the overseen, the plantation owner and the cotton picker, the product and the consumer.